Now, there are more images that are coming in of the Trump administration, where Donald Trump is, of course, sitting along with his advisors, looking at some of the images which apparently are being shown to him of what has happened in the course of these attacks that have been carried out by the Americans and the Israelis. These are the images. You can see Donald Trump there, sitting there with a hat which says USA. It is not his traditional mother hat, Make America Great Again. This is the hat with USA written on it, flanked by Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance and Susie Wiles. Will be very interesting to hear from Donald Trump as to what his objectives now are, now that the Israelis, of course, saying that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been taken down, the 87-year-old leader of the Iranian regime, as it is called. What are the American objectives? Will the Americans now still persist in this war that has begun in the last 14, 15 hours, or how do they intend to take this forward from here on? My colleague Susan is still with us. Now Susan, this is going to be a crucial moment, is it not? Will America and Israel now declare victory, saying that, listen, we went in for regime change, we've taken out the top leader there, and we could now appoint someone or any other person who could come up? We could follow the Venezuela model, that the next person who steps in, we can try do a deal with them. What do you think is the thought process within the Trump administration?
I just want to say that we're hearing that senior U.S. officials are now confirming that Khamenei, along with 5 to 10 top leaders, have been killed. So, again, who are those 5 to 10 top leaders? That's a very important point. But, regarding your question, Mohammed, I think what the United States decides to do moving forward is going to rest a lot upon how these past few hours, less than 24 hours, has gone and the assessment they get. It's hard to imagine that with Khamenei gone, they're going to just pack up and leave. He wasn't the only target. Their target really was Iran's ballistic missile facilities. And until and unless they don't know who's going to be a replacement, or that the regime has fallen in earnest, or if another government comes and gets access to these nuclear sites and these ballistic weapon sites, then I think this operation is going to continue. So I don't think it's the end of operations just yet, but it's just such a fluid situation. It's really hard to assess where the president's mind is right now. But with their in to this extent, it's hard to imagine that they're going to come out now. And who are these 5 to 10 top leaders that have been killed? I think that's a really important question to ask. I think we'll get more information moving forward. But it's interesting that Iran has not confirmed it, which is understandable. If they confirm it in the dead of night right now, there might be chaos in the street. They usually wait, and they did this with Qasem Soleimani, the IRGC commander. They waited in the morning so they can, play sad music and mourning and whatnot, and then announce it.
Indeed. That, of course, could what happened. We'll, of course, have to wait and watch. Susan, do continue to stay on with us. Meanwhile, I'm told that we've got Dr. Peter Kuznick, who is a professor of history and director of nuclear studies at the Institute of American Universities, joining us live on this broadcast. Professor Kuznick, there are some big developments that are coming forth, where there are reports that the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has perhaps been taken out in this attack by the Israelis and the Americans. How do you think this changes the scenario now?
Well, it's really too early to know, but my guess is that it doesn't change the scenario very much. We know that Khamenei planned for his own death. We know that he's got several layers of succession in place for himself and for all the other Iranian leaders. And the possibility, the likelihood is that the real power in the country is the Revolutionary Guard. And they are, if anything, even more brutal than Khamenei was. So if they take over, that's not a picnic for the Iranian people either. We don't know. It's too early to say. It might be somewhat for the better. It would have been good or acceptable if the Iranian people had overthrown the leadership themselves, not without the influence of the CIA, Mossad, or MI6. But that's not what happened. The U.S. has conducted with Israel an illegal and unconstitutional war against Iran, even though the American people overwhelmingly were opposed to it, even though there was resolution coming up before the House and the Senate, maybe as early as Monday, that would have prevented Trump from attacking without getting congressional approval beforehand. Even though Trump's approval ratings are in the toilet, record lows, 63% of the American people disapprove of what the Trump regime is doing. But despite all of that, the U.S. went ahead and launched this illegal and unconstitutional attack, which is likely to, and already spreading chaos throughout the region, with the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, and now the possible toppling of Iran's leaders.
All right. Interesting points that you've made there, that even if the people of Iran had wished for a regime change, it should have actually come from the ground. There should have been a groundswell where people, because they were fed up of the Iranian regime, should have gotten rid of it instead of having the CIA and the Mossad orchestrate it. Now, I want you to weigh in on the possible potential successor, Ali Larijani. He's an interesting individual who's been in the thick of things within the Iranian administration. He has been negotiating in the past with the Western nations on the issue of Iran's nuclear ambitions. In your assessment, how do you see Ali Larijani as a possible next successor to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei?
Well, Larijani was instrumental in negotiating the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, back in 2015. And the crazy thing about it was that it was working brilliantly. Iran had mothballed most of its centrifuges, shipped its highly enriched uranium out of the country, and was only enriching to 3.67%. But that was Obama's greatest foreign policy success. So Trump, with his fragile ego, went in there and blew it up. And then Iran started enriching to 60%. So under the original Iran nuclear deal, they were more than a year away from having a nuclear weapon.
Right.
And after that, they were much closer. So it's possible that Larijani would be willing, but again, it makes no sense because the foreign minister of Oman, who was mediating between the U.S. and Iran in those talks, said they had made significant progress and that they were getting very close to an agreement.
All right.
And maybe that was part of the reason why Trump blew it up. That plus the fact he needed to distract from his horrible headlines in the United States, where just came out a few days ago that the Epstein files, more than 50 pages, were missing that were alleging that Trump sexually abused a 13-year-old girl.
All right.
And that's the headlines, and that and the tariffs. And so we understand why Trump wanted a distraction.
All right. Now, Professor Kuznick, you say that Donald Trump needed a congressional approval to go to war. But does he really need it? As the commander-in-chief of the American Armed Forces, Donald Trump would say that it is well within his powers to wage war in the interest of the United States.
It is not in his powers to wage a war unless the U.S. was under direct attack or an imminent threat.